Hello and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the improvisational storytelling podcast, where every week a few friends, after meditating on mountaintops for an entire week, we bring our ideas together and perform the sacred ritual of storytelling. I am, of course, Levi.
And I'm Seth.
And we are here to tell you a story. No Reed today, which is fine. We love him. He's still alive. But what story element did you have, Seth?
I had Pantheon.
And I have beginning scene. Do you want to go first or should I go first?
We could put it to a coin toss, really.
Yeah, I've got a D6. 1 through 3, you go first. 4 through 6, I go first. Is that how that goes?
Yeah.
5, I'll go first. Okay, so the opening scene is the sort of normal day in the life of a private eye, Inspector Clarence. Okay, he's average height, average size, dark eyes, dark hair. He operates out of a little office space in a little office park. Private eye is what he says that he is, and he goes around his normal day. And several times during the day, so I guess this opening scene is maybe like the opening chapter, it's noticed by him that first it's the waitress at the diner where he gets breakfast. Then it's the gas station clerk, who's checking him out for getting gas and whatever. Then it's the delivery driver delivering him pizza to his whatever. They all kind of look off east and kind of darkly murmur or say, "Ooh, storm's coming," right? And the first time he hears it, him and the waitress have kind of sort of a conversation. The second time, his sort of private eye-esque, his private eye sort of intuition starts to click and spin and activate. And then by the time the last guy comes, he knows something's going on. In the beginning of the ending scene, he's standing on the roof of his building, right? And he's taking a slow drag on his cigarette, and he's looking out over the city, which then ends in the ocean, and then out east, dark clouds are kind of broiling on the horizon as lightning begins to strike, illuminating strange things on the horizon as he mutters to himself, "Storm's coming." That's the end of the beginning scene.
So, so I have Pantheon.
Right.
And I don't think, Reed didn't have magic system, so I might interpolate into, not the right word, but I might divert into magic system a little bit with it as well.
Okay. That's fine, I think.
So the Pantheon, and whether we want it to be like an old Pantheon that's resurfacing or something that, is kind of mainstream and just about everybody falls into, one of these three groups.
Right.
But it's, I guess you could say, kind of like a trinity, but it's not like a unified trinity. But there's three of them.
Okay.
And you have on the one side, I guess it's kind of, but whatever, I'll explain it here. So you have, the practitioners that would venerate, like spirit, the practitioners that would venerate like a physical figure, kind of like came here, kind of God figure, physical, and then a third group that would kind of venerate kind of the unknown all aspect.
Right.
So the ones that follow after the practitioner of the spirit, these would be people, I guess you could say, kind of like I don't want to say like hardcore like witches or wizards, but they're super in tune to hearing the message on the breeze and the the moving of the water, and like the
Right.
eagle is flying east and took a slight swoop, and so they're really attuned to those like background things that are happening that'll give them a message, or
Yeah.
kind of do things, or to then not entice, but I can't
Like
think of the
enhance
word,
their
but
own sensations in order to
yeah,
like experience
and
the
then
stuff more. Yeah.
yeah, and then they would the way that they would then partly of their of the part of the magic system is the way that they interact with that is everything they do has like a almost a non-physical approach. So it's all, like channeling the wind as it comes through, and, the natural
Right.
flow of this, the, almost, using natural phenomena, and the subtle, say, spirit moving background, right?
Right.
The practitioners that would venerate the physical being, um, their works have that, their part of the pantheon was physically here. He physically did things. He almost like a Hercules figure,
Right. Therefore, there's things
I
we
mean,
can do, very
yeah,
physical things we can do to get our point across.
right. And part of the, I guess you could say, part of my inspiration for this was I was watching the chemtrail the other day and was thinking, like, people used to pray for rain, right? And it had to be like a spiritual thing that would happen, right, for
Right.
the gods to favor you with rain.
Right.
Where now we just, if for all basic purposes, to here we are now then physically adjusting the atmosphere to make it rain or snow, or to increase or decrease the humidity, if
Right.
that's something you're into, thinking that that's what they're doing.
Right.
And so kind of taking, let's say, magic from a quite literal, physically changing the environment to achieve what you want. So maybe these people might be more of the, direct, like, make a potion, alchemy kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
very hands on, altercating the world around them to get what they want, through the, approval of their, venerated corner of the pantheon. The third group would almost be kind of your, you could find a lot of different, other people in this group. The main part of this group then kind of takes like a, everything is one, it's all center source. And so if you wake up and you walk about, you eat what you find, just kind of a I guess you say not, I hate to say non-committal, but a like, very much of a, you were meant to stub your toe if you stubbed your toe, because that's bringing you, that was, like the your part of source experiencing this, and just kind of
Right.
flowing through as part of, being one with what's truly at the center of, all things idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That does. That makes a lot of sense. That's really interesting. That's a
So
really interesting thing. Are they so you said they are a trinity, but they're not exactly like the Christian Trinity? They're not exactly
no,
like
no,
three in
obviously, I
one?
mean, I think from past things, people, that we have some of that background. And so some of it was inspired by that. But then again,
Right.
like I said, like going, okay, what if you split that into like, the three different aspects of, of that? And instead of venerating it all as one, but as, three separate sources.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, but yeah, that's the pantheon. And then kind of, I guess, maybe it's not like a hard magic system, but kind of how, these different groups would, perform their, where one, it might literally just be, science, the very physical part of it. Uh, Whereas the other one would be more, I don't know, tribal, shamanic, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then almost like what will be, will be. We're all, on the, the river of, life, and every rock we hit along the way, and, every up and down is just part of the experience. And, the kind of flow through, almost pacifist or something.
Yeah. So I'm starting to see what I kind of like the idea is that this is the Pantheon, but this is not like this is not understood. And as it is that you've just explained it, it's not wildly understood. It's been like reorganized and reinterpreted into things like science. So like if you get to the upper echelons of scientific understanding, then it does kind of pseudo turn into religious participation, you know?
It makes sense.
But at the beginning, at the baseline, they don't look at it and say, wow, this is religious participation, you know?
Yeah.
And the same thing with the other two pantheons is you have sort of subsets of how to deal with life, you know? It's like subsets on how to deal with things, with whether it's the because science was the physical one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, are you going to be super involved in? Are you going to be involved in nature, or are you going to let nature be involved with you? You know. So you could even say two different political spectrums. You know, do you let things happen to you, or do you make things happen? But then, once you sort of reach the higher echelons of these organizations, they kind of turn into worship, and they kind of turn into these religious organizations. You know, because I kind of like the idea of a secret or like a conspiracy theory / secret organization style world.
Yeah.
You know, so if we called that place that this private eye lives, you know, Seattle, because the ocean's to the east. No, it couldn't be Seattle.
Oh,
Yeah, New Jersey.
New
So
Jersey's a whole state, but yeah, so like Boston or
something right on the ocean is what I'm saying. You know, the place that he is in, or New York, or something, you know, and he kind of operates outside of this larger city, but you know, who is he? You know, what is he about? And then there's, you know, conspiracy theories, and then they start off really political, you know, but then as they get higher up in the echelons, they turn more religious, you know, and then intro the Pantheon. Now, so are the Pantheon like conscious beings, or are these like spiritual mindsets?
I would say that they really are. Let's just say that they really are, once you get down to it. And again, like you'd have different denominations, I think, from one perspective or how people look at something, they might be looking in the wrong direction, but
Yeah,
walking there sideways.
right.
Um, and so I think a lot, especially on like the lower levels where it's, a lot mainly the ideas of it. And then I think once you get into the upper echelons, you'll end up with, two or three different thought groups where, there might be like two or three different camps where, spirit is, either like a male figure or female figure, depending on, how they want to view that, or, something like that. Um,
Right.
but I think, all in all, if you think that, when it boils down to it, it could be, very much of a real thing. If you think about, like a source mind,
Yeah,
the life behind it and its physical manifestation, they can be very real things.
right. So
Um,
my what I've been thinking about with this beginning scene is Cthulhu and Lovecraftian horrors.
okay.
Kind of set up in that noir a year range, like between World War One and World War Two, maybe a little bit before World War One. And the whole concept of something incredible is coming, something awesome, but not incredible or awesome in a positive way. If I understand, everyone, listener, you are free to send me an email and tell me that I'm wrong with at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com. But if I understand correctly, Cthulhu was like one of the old gods that was kind of like locked away in space, and Cthulhu could be called back, So I'm just trying to come up with an idea, even a vague idea about what this storm is that our in Private Eye is talking about. It could be like a piece of chaos from when the world was created. It could be if this Pantheon isn't exactly sort of on lockstep with each other. If it's not like the Christian Trinity where it's like 3 and 1 and they're the same thing but they're separate. If they truly are separate, then there could be some animosity between them. The physical one. I'm just trying to find a little crack to start to come up with an idea about a difficulty or a villain. You know what I mean?
Right. So, I mean, if we wanted to pick, I don't know, and again, being conspiratorial, you could put, good guys and bad guys on each side, and you're kind of running through as, different groups are trying to, pull one up on the other,
Yeah.
like in the higher upper, whatever, if like, let's say the physical um, arm of this is, trying to prove their point to the, its kind of counterpart, the spirit side of things, by, physically, let's say, doing things to like manifest in this Cthulhu or this, kind of apocalypse, to kind of get a, a one up like on the other side. And then the other side is, trying to put the other side down by, I don't know, making something so people transcend into like a more non-physical aspect of perception, or I don't know if that would be like the third group, but
Okay.
so where like the guy could be pulled in on one set, like all these people tell him the storm is coming, then he gets sucked into, let's say, the one side where then he's trying to, stop this storm, but then it comes around and they've got, really up at the, higher echelons of some of that, their idea of stopping this storm is like a countermeasure to make everything, let's say, non-physical. And so then it's, he could hop back and forth a couple times trying to get to the bottom.
Right. So what if there's 3 different mindsets, right? There's 3 different mindsets. One mindset, which is the spirit one, is to escape, is to move to a place that's new and better, right? Your soul will be enlightened. You'll leave your body and you'll go away. That's how we'll escape this apocalypse. The physical mindset is we'll defeat it. Obviously, man will defeat it. We'll gather together and we'll create whatever we need to do and we'll defeat it. And whatever we need to do that, that's what we'll do. And then the third one is this is it. If this is the time for all of humanity to go insane with the impending approach of chaos, then this is the plan that was laid down for us, right?
Yeah.
And so at first, you have all these different characters who are all sort of pulling this Private Eye in separate directions. You have the banker, right, who technically belongs to the spirit sort of cult or persuasion, and he is paying the Private Eye to track down his son because his son has quote unquote gotten misguided about how we are to proceed, and it's kind of weird, but the reality is that his son has moved over into the physical manifestation camp and saying we have to fix this problem, and then there's kind of the overwhelming groups of people, and it's all kind of hush hush. There's some criminal organizations that play into it there, and then there's some government organizations. There's someone's running for mayor, and there's one mayor who's like, we're going to fight, and one mayor who says we're going to rise above, and another mayor that says, candidate that says we are going to be able, what's coming to us is coming to us. There's nothing we can do about it, And so there's all these little tiny stories, and he is coming into this, he has his own biases and his own sort of feelings about how to deal with problems. Maybe he's, struggling with alcoholism. And so he's trying to find a reason to be better. And so the spiritual people is really appealing to him because they talk about rising above. But the physical people are really appealing to him because they say that he can fix his own problems. And then the other people are really appealing to him because they're saying, if that's what you're supposed to be, then you were just supposed to be an alcoholic. I don't know. I'm just trying to create some complexity. And it's only through his kind of like, maybe he's investigating a murder mystery. A murder. He's trying to find a missing person, and he's tailing someone to see if, this guy's being unfaithful to his wife. And all three of them, maybe they're the quartet members, and all three of them are involved in different amounts in these three different thought processes, which then kind of come down to this crux position. Something is going to happen. There's a storm coming. Something's going to happen. And the question is can humanity do anything about it? And B, are they going to do anything about it? What do you think?
I think it's a good start.
Great. Any other world building ideas you want to add in there?
Not right off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good start. We'll come back next week and pick it up and add more. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Wait, It Gets Better. If you liked this beginning, this start, this opening scene, this Pantheon, let me know at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com or email me or at me on Twitter at @getsbettercast. Yell at me, send me your hate mail. That's fine. I'd love to read it. If you think that we should do more one-off stories, we've thought about it, but I kind of like this long form better. If you think that we should do more space stories, listen to the last episode. If you think that we should do more stories based on Lord of the Rings, I would say, just wait. It gets better.